Denise, did you know that? I bought me a little convertible as I transitioned into not having to go to work every day, but go out and be a public servant. So last weekend, I actually ended the show, probably about 15 minutes early so I could get out there and catch that 70-degree weather. But we are live. Jumbo Love is here every Saturday morning, as I tell you, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my listening audience and for our Facebook viewers. We do Jumbo Love, all community, all the time. And one of the great partners that we have, put into this information and awareness platform is CICOA Aging and In-Home Solution. And before we came on the air, we had Targ Brown, the CEO of CICOA, and just thanking him for allowing Denise Jones-Harrington and I to come in every second Saturday. Did I get that right, Denise?
You did, correct. Well, good morning, my brother.
How are you?
I'm doing well. So today is an exciting day, and it's an exciting month. I'm gonna start off because it's National Social Workers Month, and this is the department that has the most social workers in it. And so I think it's just fitting that they're here today. So today we're going to talk about our Flourish program, which is our care manager program. Largest department in CICOA as well. And then we're going to talk about Duett, which is a new side gig, I would say, that CICOA has that Chad was a part of making happen. So we have Erica Seabaugh here, who is the director of Flourish, and we have Chad Bales. I'm gonna get it out a bit. I probably still said it wrong.
See, it happens.
Okay. It's all good.
It's Saturday morning, who is our assistant director. So he can correct me on all of that. So we always talk about the front door of CICOA, which is our Aging, Disability, and Resource Center. And that really is the beginning. And then we talk about the ongoing case management or care management, as we call it, at CICOA. And this is the department that does that work. So these are the people that go out, they manage people's treatment plans, their care plans, and they talk with them ongoing about what are the goals that they have, what is it that they're looking for as they age in home. So we'll just start off and talk about what is Flourish, and Erica, if you can give us an overview of that, that'll be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good morning. Thanks so much for having us on. We're excited to spend a little time with you this morning. So like Denise said, Flourish Care Management is the largest department at CICOA, and we have just about 170 employees, and we provide ongoing care management services to about 8,500 clients now. So we continue to grow, and care management is such a fun way to get involved in helping people, like Denise said, stay at home, be independent, be healthy, be safe. And our job is really just to help walk alongside them and help get services going, whatever they may need at home, and keep those moving and keep them safe and healthy, and get what they need to do that in the setting of their choice, which is most of the time their own home or family member's home. So we just get to work with our clients on an ongoing basis and provide whatever might be needed for them. So
well, I'm smiling, Denise, because you know how I listen and then throw out my reverb. And it sounds like, and we've been doing this now for about 14 episodes, I guess I would say. And this is a central nervous system of CICOA. This is how you come into CICOA. This is how you get your name, your social security number, your insurance information, whatever it might be, stamped in, so we can provide you with all of these services that are available at CICOA. Chad, tell me, what do you do?
What do I do? So as an assistant director, I pretty much, like Erica said, we're overseeing the central nervous system of CICOA. The part of Flourish that really speaks to me is every day is different for everybody. People can come into CICOA and they can get some services, but we know that in a year, in a month, in a day, things can change on a dime. And I think that's the beauty of the ongoing side and walking alongside the individuals that we work with. As things change, we can make adjustments. We get that opportunity to say, hey, it's okay that things happen. We've got many options here, and we can keep walking right alongside you to meet your goals and keep you as independent as possible.
That's great.
Denise, that's that kind of what I was really, I was being kind of funny about it, but the truth of the matter is once you're registered and you're in the system, then now Duett can come in and offer the services that you might not even know that you were qualified for because you are in the system. Talk about how important it is for, especially in this faith-based community that you're dealing with on a daily, how important it is to get people to understand the importance of being in the system.
Well, I think in one way to clarify that, Flourish is the case management HB, and then we're going to talk about what Duett does. But basically, Flourish, the name is to really help people to flourish in their homes. And so the reality of that is that for a faith-based community, when someone comes in, or sometimes it's just a fall or something like that, that changes the person's living situation, then this is a great place for them to be with us with CICOA, because then when people have questions and they're not real sure what to do when they come out of rehab, then we're the place. This is how my mom became involved. It was after a hip surgery. She was in rehab, and then the care manager came out. It was perfect timing so that we could get the services in for her to still maintain in her home. And it wasn't long after my father had died. So I'll let either Erica or Chad, whoever wants to, talk about what the services are, and then we'll talk about how does somebody qualify for the Flourish service.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the fun things too about what we do in Flourish is every day is different. How Chad said, every service plan is different. We really look at each individual that we work with on a person-centered basis. We assess what's going on with them. And you could have, kind of referring to your mom, you could have two people who had a similar injury or similar medical incident that need two very different things. So we just kind of approach that in a person-centered way. We build a service plan with them and identify what their goals are, what's important to them every day, what's important for them to have to be able to be successful and to get what they need. So services, are across the board. We can do so many things, and it really just is based off of what their needs are and what's going to help them stay independent and healthy at home.
Exactly. So Chad, if you can just talk about how somebody qualifies for the services. There are several funding sources that the CICOA has. So if you can kind of.
Certainly. Yeah, we I'm sure we've been out here before. We've talked a little bit about what our resource center does, and some of the funding sources that we use, we're looking at state and federally funded dollars. Aging is it's happening across the country. It's happening across the world. And, you talk about the baby boomer generation, and we're in the thick of it now. And so, we look at all the different funding sources. We're not limited to one. We have about 3 or 4 different funding sources. Some of it is federally funded dollars or the Medicaid programs, and some of it is state funded dollars like our choice program. And within each of those services, primarily what we're looking at is where do people experience limitations based on their conditions. And it's those limitations that kind of let us know what type of service plan or treatment plan to develop for them. And it, things that you and I, Denise and Erica and HB, we take for granted every day. This morning I got up and I got showered and didn't even think twice about it. But what happens with that individual that has a diagnosis that is unable to just get up and take a shower? So we're looking at areas of their life that have really been limited, or what we call activities of daily living. So, we're going to look at multiple areas, from their ability to get ready in the morning to, are they able to, just walk through their house or even move through their house, ambulate through their house. So those are kind of the criteria that we're going to look at, is where are the limitations? And then we really look to working with them in that person-centered way of how we can connect those services in the community to let them stay in the community. That could be aides that come into the home. It could be assisted living facilities where they still have, on-site care throughout the day, but they have that freedom to come and go. It could be a day program where, they really need socialization to kind of help with that independence and get them out of the house. And so they have an opportunity to go do activities with other seniors and individuals that are similar to them.
Yeah.
What's interesting is every time I get to come in on one of these episodes, I'm a junior senior. And so I went blind in my left eye about 7 years ago. I wake up now with injuries. I don't know how it happened. And so I was looking up today's notes and talking about care management, and I'm getting to the state where I need some care management because a brother don't function like he used to at 63. And I don't think that we understand that until this kind of discussion and this kind of dialogue is opened up to the people to say, okay, it's time to start getting your I's dotted and T's crossed, because it's not going backwards. It's not going to get any better. And that's what I started recognizing. I'm going to start coming up with more ailments. I'm going to be coming up with more things that are going to limit me to the things that I used to know when I was a younger man. And the best time is now to start getting the care management. How do we get enrolled? How do we start the process?
Okay, Erica, if you want to take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a great point, HB, because it's scary, right? To kind of approach a period of time where you need help, right? Things don't work like they used to, and everything gets a little bit harder. And that's a tough reality for a lot of the individuals that we work with. And that's why we want to be with them and be there to support them and walk alongside them, because we want them to get the help that they need to stay independent. And it's really important, to have a good plan and to know what your resources are and to build those connections. Makes it maybe a little bit less scary to have that support through the process. So yeah, if to get connected with services, best contact is through our Aging and Disability Resource Center, which is the 317-803-613-31 number. And they will do that initial assessment on the phone. They'll talk through, all of your needs, all of the things that are going well and all the things that maybe aren't going well. And they'll take a look at what that eligibility might be for services. And then they'll move that process through CICOA and help get you connected to the right departments and the right people that can support that. So
now, are there any insurances or any financial stipulations for these people who want to partake?
Well,
Chad,
for some of the programs, yeah. I mean, each one of the programs, when we talk about federally and state funded dollars, there are some financial, milestones that have to be met or restrictions. But that's the beauty of CICOA and our resource center. It's, we're not just going to limit it to specific funding source or specific availability. HB, you talked about, you wake up every day, and that's tough as we start to understand new things. And if it's not going to get better, what can we do in the meantime to continue to work through it? And so there's multiple resources out there. It's hard to say any one financial restriction or not, just because there are so many resources and funding sources.
So the best thing to do is call to see if you qualify. And then that way we start from there.
Yeah. Yep. And one of the things is that someone may, need meals, bought in. So that may be one part. Somebody may need transportation. Maybe they're not at a point of having an aide in the house or having a care manager. So that's the one great thing that I think why we do this is because we want to educate people. We want people to know before there's a crisis. And so in essence, if they know about us and know what we can provide, then this is an opportunity for them to see that, you may start at one place, but over time, as HB was just saying, as we age, things change. And so that's really the process that's starting to happen. So I think that's a great thing to, always bring out the fact that we want people to know what we provide. So that way they're educated before they may need us, or before they have to call for a family member or something like that. The other part is that the care managers and what they do. And I think we should talk really about their role because it's such an important role once someone is in the Flourish program. So Erica, do you want to talk a little bit about care managers?
Yeah, so anyone that qualifies for one of the ongoing funding sources will have a care manager and thanks for the shout out early on about Social Work Month. Chad and I are both social workers at heart. So love our social workers. We couldn't do what we do without them. So a lot of them are either social workers or social service professionals with other degree backgrounds, but the care managers contact clients regularly, typically on a monthly basis, but often we talk with our clients more often than that. And then we visit with them, either virtually over the phone or in person. We're starting to do a lot more, back in the homework at this point in the pandemic. So, which is really great. We love visiting with clients in their homes. We love, seeing where they live and seeing, what's important to them. There's something special about being able to, to meet with a client where in their space and to get to, talk about the pictures of their grandkids or, their learn more about their history by what's important and what's around them. So visit with them every 90 days, sometimes more often. And the care managers are just, like we said earlier, they're just there to walk alongside them, to help support them, answer questions, connect them to resources. If something changes, if they have a significant health event, we're there to reassess and figure out what can we do to help, keep them safe and healthy and independent and living where they want to live. So they're just there to problem solve and troubleshoot and support and celebrate those successes when our clients do have them.
I'm glad that you mentioned this, as Denise understands this. I do in-home care management for autistic children. And people don't understand how important it is for the family and the primary caregiver to have a team of people who are qualified to come in and assist you if you need to just go to the store for 2 hours, understanding and having familiarity with the characteristics of this person that you're coming in to care for. And there's a genuine love and bond is built. And man, that team atmosphere, Chad, you can probably go in this as well. That team atmosphere that you have and the confidence that you have when you know that there's just more than you dealing with this problem. Talk about that if you could.
Oh, absolutely. This is the team approach is huge. It's when you're talking about the environment, you're talking about there's a big push nowadays for social determinants of health. And again, we go back to the beginning of talking about things that we take for granted. HB, I can envision you right now in your convertible just cruising to the store to pick up the items you need. But maybe your next door neighbor can't do that. They don't have that luxury. And so that true team approach, one of the things that we've done recently here in Flourish is, as we continue to expand the program, we've started to look at adding community health workers to our staff. And this position solely is how do we bring more of the community and the resources within an individual's community closer to them and really work with them. We're here in Indianapolis, and individuals that live in downtown Indianapolis have a whole different community experience than individuals that live on the west side or the north side or the south side. And the more that we can have this team approach, these community health workers that can work with the doctor's offices, they can work with the families, they can work with the care managers. It's a holistic approach that truly allows us to meet the needs of the individual and really get a true understanding of what it is that's important to them so that they can stay where they want to be.
Denise, you and I, we are very intentional about understanding the lack of awareness and the channels of awareness that are provided to the African American community in situations just like this. How important it is for our pastors and our multi-service centers and all of these people helping to disenfranchise communities to get the information about programming like this, because sometimes we're already stressed out. And then you put more stress on, and stress could be laid off if you understood and knew about programs like Flourish.
Yeah, and it definitely determines a person's health, how they're going to progress or not, when they're stressed out or they're worried about, am I going to be able to stay in my home? Or you have a caregiver that's kind of overwhelmed and doesn't know. So I actually just talked to some faith community nurses last Saturday, and there were still people that didn't know about CICOA, so that's why we work hard to get the word out. I'm glad that we're starting to get to a point where we can kind of see people face to face and talk about it. I think and just as Chad was talking about, we're really talking about community. People trust people that are in their community. And that's one of the things, that we know with the faith community, that people go to the folks they know, the people that they trust. And so that's why it's so important for this information to be out. I really get sad when I hear the sad stories, of someone who fell in their home, nobody found them for a couple of days, those type of things. Families that really have fought over, what should we do next with mom or dad, in that sense, or we have auntie over here who doesn't have any children, and now, we're responsible for them. So it's really important for that information to get out to people so that they can feel like they're informed and they can make informed decisions as a result of that. And that's one of the things when we talk about the person-centered type of treatment process. When I did case management years ago, it was called case management. Now it's care management. We did treatment plans. Now there's service plan. So, some of the dialogue changes over time, but the reality being that we're really looking at the person. We're saying to them, what are your goals? What would you like to have happen? As opposed to coming in and saying, well, you should do this or you should do that. That's not the approach that we take. We really try to see what is the goals of the person that we're talking with, the goals of the family, so that we can try to put those services in place. And so one of the things that we received as a result was that my mom needed somebody just to help her get up in the morning, get dressed, and make sure she got her breakfast and took her medications and all. And so as a part of that, we received a list of providers that CICOA has. And we went through those providers and picked the provider that we thought would be best for her. But sometimes, it takes a little while to get that right feel, that right person in the process. So now we'll talk about Duett, who HB has been talking about the whole time. So
hey, man, I just get notes and read notes.
Well, I think it's great that there was a need and they saw a gap in the need. And so then CICOA, really, Chad and some other people, I'm sure we're innovative in this process. So if you talk about that, Chad, it would be great.
Sure, absolutely. And I appreciate that. And HB, I appreciate you promoting their Duett. That's something that is, like Denise said, a side project to CICOA. So we are doing our best to get that off the ground, and we've seen a lot of positive results from it. Duett is actually a tech platform. We designed it to try to increase the efficiencies within our staff at CICOA, but it was really to try to meet the needs of the individuals faster. Denise referenced with her mom, they were given a pick list. On that pick list, you have a list of every provider or agency that does a very specific service. Sometimes, especially here in Indianapolis, you have more than 400 names on that pick list. It's like the old days, the phone book and the yellow pages. Who in the world do you choose when you just open that up when you're trying to get a job done?
If you can open it up.
Yeah, if you can open it up. That's right. If you can open it up. And so it was kind of one of those, like, we want people to have their right to choose, but they have no idea who can actually come into their home. They have, they're looking at just a list of names. And so we created a tech platform that allowed us to be transparent to all of the providers that are on this list. And then they can come back to us and say, hey, we think we have somebody that would match well for this. And at that point, we've narrowed down a list that may have sometimes 20 or sometimes 400 names, down to a few that say, we like working in this area. We know this area well. We think we can work with your client, and then that client can make a choice, or that individual gets to make that choice. And hopefully it builds a faster connection. So rather than calling across several days on this list to find somebody that covers that area, it's all transparent. And we're trying to bring that down into having somebody out there in about 72 hours.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah. So as we make the merging as the side, I'm going to be nice, the side piece to Flourish, what are the specifics? Why are you shaking your head, Denise? I know I just sometimes embarrass you, don't I? I know you just say, oh God, please don't let him
I warned them.
Please don't let him go there. But anyway, what are the main interest of having Duett matching Flourish and its goal and its missions, I guess is what I would say.
Honestly, the main interest, the main goal is to get the care to the individuals at a faster rate.
Okay.
I talk about a success story when we first put a prototype out there of Duett. we had an individual that lived in Shelby County looking for a nurse to come to their home to care for the individual that needed care. Our staff had spent 6 months trying to contact providers to go out to Shelby County. When we put the prototype out there, within 6 hours, a provider had seen this post, reached out, and was on their way out to provide care. So it's about that efficiency, right? It's, you know, it works great for Flourish. Like, that's the benefit to our staff, is it makes our job a little bit easier because we're being transparent. At the end of the day, though, that goal is to get the care to the individuals in their home at a faster rate than moving at a snail's pace, which is what we were doing before.
Now, Erica, as we get ready to close this down for today, and this information is so valuable, my phone is over here pinging right now. So usually I get messages through text instead of them asking you guys questions when you're live on the air. I'm trying to get my people to flourish and understand. And segue, how do we get our generation of people with all of these resources to better understand through these technological challenges that this is the road, this is the way we have to go to get these benefits and be able to use Duett along? I mean, I see you looking like, wow. I see you. That's the challenge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is a challenge.
It is, yeah. And I think the best thing we can do is just continue to get the word out and continue to have these relationships. You know, there's a lot of hesitation to do, like you said earlier on. You have to give all this personal information about yourself to somebody you don't know, you know, and you don't trust. So find somebody you do trust within you know, your faith community or within your regular community, a family member, a neighbor, somebody, you know, and have somebody be a part of that with you. That maybe that feels a little bit less scary, right? To have a friend or somebody that you trust to be a part of that as you make contact. You know, the worst thing that Chad and I have combined almost 30 years of experience at working at CICOA, and the worst thing that we hear is, I wish I would have known about CICOA when, right? So we're doing everything in our power to make sure that everybody knows about CICOA now, so that even if you don't need the help, when you do, or when you talk to somebody, you know, in your you know, your neighbor or somebody in your faith community, and you hear that they're struggling, or that they have a friend that's struggling, tell them about CICOA. You know, tell them that you heard about it through Jumbo Love, and that you know, you trust him, and you want you know, you want to make that connection. So you know, I know it's scary, but we're just here to help, and we do all kinds of things. And we just want people to get what they need to be safe and happy and healthy where they want to live.
You know, Denise, I do laugh a lot and I joke a lot, but I am so serious about thanking you for letting me be part of this journey of trying to get information out. I've been putting these flyers out with you and I on it, and then somebody said they knew your mama, and you know, I mean, I'm just saying, the little hits that you get are effective by reaching our community the way that we have to. And I'm so happy that the community is opening back up, and we can go out and try to be face on, hands on, because you know our demographic of people, man, they got to see you, know you, and believe that you are who you say you are, instead of this email coming through my email portal. So we'll continue the ways that we have to understand ways to reach the community, especially those really in need of the great opportunities that come with being with Flourish and Duett. Close it down for me, my sister.
Well, I definitely, you know, like what Erica said. I really appreciate her and Chad coming on here. I like what Chad said as well. But the reality being that, you know, people trust people they know, and word of mouth goes a long way. And it's really nice sometimes when I'm out and somebody goes, oh, I know about CICOA, and let me tell you, they really did a good job for my family member, you know, so that's a great advertisement for us. I don't, you know, I feel like people sometimes just don't know exactly what they want. And so, and that's why I think the care management part with Flourish is so important, because it helps people walk through that journey. Sometimes people don't know what, you know, they haven't thought about all these questions that they may receive in the process. And I remember when our care manager would come out and ask questions and do like that 90-day update. And she would say, so what's changed, Ms. Jones? And then I would look and I would go, wow, I didn't even notice that had changed, you know, so sometimes she had a different window than I did. So it was
Absolutely.
really great, you know, and it's great to have somebody that you're in a team with. It's a partnership and you're going for the betterment of your family member. And if somebody saw me and knew my mother, they probably did, because she was very well known.
I'm just telling you.
And that's what, you know, when Erica said, people have history, you know, these are people that have lived their lives, they worked in their communities, they worked their jobs, they've made change and differences in our community. And we want to respect that. You know, we really want to say, you've done your due diligence. Now we want to be able to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're healthy, and you're able to do age at home like you want to. So that's, you know, that's really the goal. We respect people and their history.
Well, Erica and Chad, thank you for letting me meet the central nervous system of CICOA and how we reach all of these great programs. And hopefully, as the spring and summer comes about, we can get out and do some live programming and reach these people face to face and just continue the great work that you're doing with CICOA Aging and In-Home Solutions. My sister.
Thank you, my brother.
Love you, girl. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate this opportunity.